Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Okay, so we are going to start reading from yeah. Okay. So we're going to start from this paragraph. We are reading at present the introduction from Bhagavad Gita as it is. So let's read like a few sentences before this paragraph so that we'll get the connection. Yeah, from here. So I'll start reading. All of this is clearly described, and if we properly utilize the instructions of Bhagavad Gita, then our whole life will become purified, and ultimately we will be able to reach the destination which is beyond this material sky. That destination is called the Sanatana sky, the eternal spiritual sky. Yad gatvana nivartante taddama paramam mama. In this material world, we find that everything is temporary. It comes into being, stays for some time, produces some byproducts, dwindles, and then vanishes. That is the law of material nature. Whether we use as an example this body or a piece of fruit or anything. But beyond this temporary world, there is another world of which we have information. That world consists of another nature, which is Sanatana, eternal. The Jiva is also described as Sanatana, eternal. And the Lord is also described as Sanatana in the 11th chapter. We have an intimate relationship with the Lord, and because we are all qualitatively one, the Sanatana Dhamma or sky, the Sanatana Supreme Personality, and the Sanatana living entities, the whole purpose of living entities. The whole purpose of Bhagavad Gita is to revive our Sanatana occupation or Sanatana Dharma, which is the eternal occupation of the living entity. We are temporarily engaged in different activities, but all of these activities can be purified when we give up all these temporary activities and take up the activities which are prescribed by the Supreme Lord. That is called our pure life. So we'll read one paragraph and we'll discuss and we'll see. Okay, so yesterday we read like from here, like we have the modes, and according there are different kinds of eatables are there. Then we read about the important of the human being life, of aim of the human life, and how the intelligent people use the human body of life, and different kind of energies we heard from Prabhuji yesterday. So continuation to that one. So if we properly utilize the instructions of Bhagavad Gita, so after discussing all the purpose of human life and senses, sorry, modes and everything, aim of human life. So if how Bhagavad Gita is helping to us is, if we properly utilize the instructions of Bhagavad Gita, what will happen? Our life will become purified. So after that purification, ultimately we will be able to reach the destination which is beyond this material sky. So here now onwards in the introduction, Prabhupada is going to explain about the world, the spiritual world. So what will happen by following the instructions of Bhagavad Gita? By following the instructions of Bhagavad Gita, first step is we'll get purified, and after that one ultimately we'll reach that supreme destination. So that destination is described in the next paragraph, which we read now. So that destination is called here Sanatana. The word Sanatana comes. Sanatana means eternal. So Sanatana sky. So that world is Sanatana, eternal, and that is called spiritual sky. So it's here it says Yad Gatvana Nivartante Tad Dhama Paramam Mama. So it says in 15.7, it says there it comes this one. So the living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal. So not this one 15.7. This is from I forgot the word's name. I think 820. 820, that verse 8 chapter 28th verse, it describes the spiritual world of about the glories, about the qualities of the spiritual world. So that spiritual world one reaches, then yad gatvana nivartante, they never take birth again. Tad dhama paramam mama. Dhama, that dhama is paramam mama. That is a supreme destination. Mama means it's my abode. And whoever gatva goes to there, they know they don't come back. Nivartante, they don't come back. So even a few other verses also Krishna gives in Bhagavad Gita, like Abrahma Bhuvanaloka Punaravartino Arjuna Mamupetya tu Kaunteya Punarjanma Nabidyate. So it says whoever reaches me, they don't take birth again. Then one more verse, Janma Karma Chame Divyam Yevam Yo Vitti Tattataha Tektva Deham Punarjanma Naiti Mameti So Arjuna. So once who understands that transcendental pastimes and qualities of the Lord, they don't take birth again. So like that. So there are a lot of verses like which describes from the Bhagavad Gita, which says the description of the spiritual world. There is a world which is spiritual, that is eternal, and ultimately the everyone, like we need to realize our connection to the Lord, and we have to go back. So this is not the place we supposed to belong to, but we belong to the Lord's spiritual world. So that's where this spiritual destination is going to starting explanation. So after that one, it says material world is, which is temporary. So in this material world, as it's already described in 8:15, I think. So it says Dukkhalayam Ashashvatam. This material world is Dukkhalayam, place of misery, and Asashvatam, which is temporary. That's what here it's saying. Material world, we find that everything is temporary, and material world is also temporary. So that everything is temporary is it, how the changes goes in this material world is it described here. It comes into being and stays for some time, produces some byproducts, and dwindles and vanishes. So we can take example of body also, takes birth, goes some growth, and youth and everything, then produces byproducts and disease and death. So same thing, like anything we can take here example, piece of fruit also. So everything in this material world is temporary, and but that is the law of material world. So the law of material world is keep changing. So nothing is going to stay back eternal or in this material world, because it's a material world is keep changing every time that changes happens. So we can't get assurance like, this will stay forever like that. No. So so beyond, that's why beyond this temporary world there is another world, so which we have that information. That's what it's saying, that world consists of another nature which is sanatana. So as this material world is temporary and place of misery, these are the qualities of this material world, but that world which is beyond this sky, that is a supreme destination, is sanatana, eternal. The quality of that world is, spiritual world is eternal. And here it says the world consists of another nature, that is that is sanatana, and jiva is also sanatana. Jiva is the conditioned soul. Conditioned soul means it's a soul, so it's a part and parcel of Krishna, and that is also sanatana, eternal. And this jiva is explained in 15.7, like mamai vamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatanaha. So it says this jivas, this conditioned souls are coming from me, and all these conditioned souls are eternal. Jiva bhuta sanatanaha. The quality of that jivas are sanatana, eternal. And again Lord is described as sanatana in 11th chapter. So again it says like Arjuna describes this one like in 11th chapter, saying that one, this sanatanastvam purusho matomi. So in my opinion, in my thought, Krishna is sanatana, who is supreme personality of Godhead. He is sanatana. So it's described in 11.18th verse. Then after that one, now we described the spiritual world and the quality, the jiva and the supreme Lord, as all are eternal. Now Prabhupada is going to explain about the relationship between jiva and that supreme Lord, so that we have an intimate relationship with the Lord. So as part and parcels, like, we are jiva, we are sanatana, and Lord is also sanatana. But what is the connection, relationship between those two are? So there is an intimate relationship between jiva and Paramatma, and jiva and supreme Lord. So that what is that relationship? We'll see that one. So qualitatively we are one, that is Sanatana Dharma or sky, Sanatana, supreme personality of Godhead. So qualitatively we are one. So as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that one, achintya beda beda tattva. So tattva is, we are qualitatively one, but quantity wise we are very small in front of the Lord. Like if you take a small drop of water from the ocean, so the water substance, even in the small drop and the big ocean, saltiness, that substance, that quality is same, but the quantity wise, ocean is vast and small tiny drop is very tiny. So in the same way, we are jiva, part and parcel of Krishna, supreme Lord. Quantity wise we are like, very tiny, but quality wise we are one. So that's what here it's saying, because we are all qualitatively one, which is eternal. And that Sanatana Dharma, that is the Sanatana. So every living entity is Sanatana, and supreme Lord is Sanatana. So, and the relationship, there is a intimate relationship between is there, between the jiva and the supreme Lord. Then the whole purpose of Bhagavad Gita is to revive our Sanatana occupation. So to revive that relationship, to revive that, what is the connection between Jiva and Sanatana. So that is the whole purpose of Bhagavad Gita. So what is that one? Even Srimad Bhagavatam also describes like Savai Pumso Parodharma Eta Bhakti Radokshaji Ahaituki Apratihata Yatma Suprasidati. So there the verse, it says the supreme occupation for the humanity is to attain the loving devotion, transcendental loving devotional service towards to the Lord. And what kind of that service should be? Ahaituki apratihata. So it should be uninterrupted and unmotivated. So we need to do that service for the pleasure of the Lord. We should not have any selfish motives, and uninterrupted. There should be consistency in the service. So these two are completely, this is the supreme occupation for the humanity. So that's what here it's said, to revive that supreme occupation. What is that supreme occupation? Is to attain the transcendental loving service towards to Krishna. So that is a Sanatana, eternal occupation of the humanity. Then after that one, it explains we are temporarily engaged in different activities. So we are, as we are in this temporary world, and we have like a short lives and we are temporary. So this means, I mean, lifetime wise, we are temporary. We are staying in this material world temporarily. So, and we engage in the activities also differently in temporarily engagement. So those, but all those activities can be purified when we give up all these temporary activities and take up the activities which are prescribed by the Supreme Lord. So then our life will become purified. So no, we are in this material world which is temporary, and we engage in the temporary activities. So how can we get purification? So it's saying that one, uh, we need to take that activities which are prescribed by the Supreme Lord, and those taking up those activities, then our life will become purified. So what kind of prescribed activities like Supreme Lord gave, but through the scriptures like Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, we can get that instructions through this one. And this verse is Savai Pumso Paro Dharma is one instruction from the Supreme Lord. So one has, the ultimate occupation is one has to attain the transcendental loving service towards to the Lord. And by following these instructions from the scriptures, then our life will become pure life. So I'll stop here for this paragraph. If anybody have any realizations, questions or corrections, we'll go for that one. If any have any questions.
So I have a question.
Yes, Mataji.
So you said uninterrupted and unmotivated, right? Service. But sometimes we see like some devotees like join the temple for a couple of years, they do the service, but then it just becomes very difficult for them to keep that schedule and keep going in that same manner. And then, they fall down. So how do you like keep it up for like permanently, that uninterrupted, unmotivated service?
Okay, Mataji. So as you gave the example, like, one should aspire to have that uninterrupted, unmotivated, like, that is a aspiration one should have in this.
Yeah, but it doesn't always
But
happen. Yeah.
yeah. So, but sometimes if doesn't happen, like, so thing is everybody have their mood and abilities Krishna has given. So one need to find that thing. So one may be good in some service, one may be not good in that one, maybe in other way they are good. So one should like tap that ability what is there in there, and using that abilities in the service of Krishna, which is naturally is there in us. When we use that kind of natural abilities, then in that way we aspire to that unmotivated and interrupted service. Like some may be good in kirtan, so they naturally goes for that thing, so that they can use that thing for the pleasure of Krishna to engage more in that service. Some may be good in book distribution, or some may be good in some cooking. Some may are good in, like, decorating the lordship, so um, attractive. So we need to find that thing which we have naturally in that one. Definitely we have to do some other different things also. I mean to say multiple services also if opportunity comes. But the main thing is what makes me to engage more to co-closure, and what kind of circumstances makes me to go closer to Krishna, or to engage more in devotional service. Those things we can find out, and if we engage more in that one, so definitely Krishna will guide us in that way, so that we can one day we'll reach that unmotivated, uninterrupted service like that.
So you're saying then it becomes more joyful and
More
more,
joyful, and naturally it
and
comes
more
from within.
natural to you. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So to
Well,
find that one is first step. Yes,
I was going to ask, like, what type of activities, because it says temporarily engage in different activities for being purified. I mean, I know we all do a lot for the temple, with the temple. I mean, I know we're doing a lot now in the COVID times, but it's just, still trying to figure out what type of activities can people come in and do.
Oh, okay. So what kind of activities means like Prabhupada has given daily sadhana for us, like minimum chanting rounds and doing the aartis, attending the aartis and taking darshan of the deities. All these are the which are the activities which are prescribed by the acharyas. So those are the basic activities we can go. But apart from that, if we want to, as you mentioned, work for temple and go to the temple. Now in this pandemic situation, we are having the Bhagavad Gita, reading scriptures. So best time to read Prabhupada books is this time. So no outgoing, right? So we can take books and read and discuss, like attending all these things. So these are the activities which we increase more in our life. Then that is also service. Hearing is also service, chanting, reading, all these things are which are prescribed by the acharyas and the scriptures too, Mataji.
And Mataji, book distribution.
Yeah, definitely book distribution, because to read the book we need books in this pandemic, definitely. So book distribution also. And this is the best time to do the book distribution, because practically everybody is going through this, how temporary this material world is. So if we think like a very, very temporary, like if one person goes out, so how he may come to the home, and so we don't know. It's a very, very temporary situation. Like there is no certainly what is going to happen like that. So in this time, like to do book distribution is people may take very naturally, because this is what is happening in this material world now.
Okay, so I joined late because I was working out, but I was also listening to the Gita earlier. So that's my way of, I guess, getting back into it, listening to the Gita again.
Yes, that is also
doing it that way, keeping up the transcendental, so that way anybody can actually do that.
Yeah, I was going to say, and you can join a zillion Zoom calls now all over the world. So there is
Yes.
there is unlimited Krishna Katha if you want to listen to it.
Well, I guess that's what next week's for. My vacation week.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, any other comments? Okay, if not, we will go for the next paragraph. The Supreme Lord and his transcendental abode are both Sanatana, as are the living entities, and the combined association of the Supreme Lord and the living entities in the Sanatana abode is the perfection of human life. The Lord is very kind to the living entities because they are his sons. Lord Krishna declares in Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Yonishu Aham Bija Pradapitaha. I am the father of all. Of course, there are all types of living entities according to their various karmas, but here the Lord claims that he is the father of all of them. Therefore, the Lord descends to reclaim all of these fallen conditioned souls, to call them back to the Sanatana eternal sky, so that these Sanatana living entities may regain their eternal Sanatana positions in eternal association with the Lord. The Lord comes himself in different incarnations, or he sends his confidential servants as sons, or his associates or acharyas to reclaim the conditioned souls. Okay. So now in this paragraph it's saying, so the transcendental abode and the Lord, both are Sanatana. So the living entities, going to that Sanatana abode is the perfection of human life. So what is the perfection of human life is? So go back to our original place, which is spiritual abode. And the Lord is very kind, and Krishna here it's saying Sarva Yonishu. This verse comes in 14.4. It says that one Sarva Yonishu Kaunteya Murtayaha Sambhavantiya Tasham Brahma Mahadyonir Aham Bija Prajapita. So this phrase Aham Bija Prajapita is coming. Prabhupada quotes a lot of times. So it says the translation is I am the father of all. So Krishna here it's saying like he's the father of all. So all the living entities, of course, they have like different kinds of way, like reasons they are why they are situated in that position. They have like past karmas and everything. But the Lord claims he is the father of all. So whoever are there, all the conditioned souls. So Krishna is the father. And Krishna reclaims like he comes, he descends to this material world to real like to remember us, or to make us to go back to that eternal abode which is spiritual world. So Krishna may come in different incarnations, like to give that one, like your relationship with me is eternal and you belong to the spiritual world. You are not no more belong to this material world. This world is basically, this Bhagavad Gita is going to show us how temporary this world is and how eternal you are, and what is the relationship between the Jiva and the Supreme Lord, and how to go back to the spiritual abode, and what is that spiritual abode. So this is the what it's going to speak in Bhagavad Gita. It's all lot of instructions, and this is the song sung by the Supreme Lord himself, right? So every word, whatever comes from the mouth of Supreme Lord, is an instruction for us. So that's what here it says, like Lord comes himself in different incarnations, and sometimes he sends his confidential associates too, like Srila Prabhupada, Shaktavesha Avatar. So Prabhupada comes like as a messenger of the God, and Prabhupada, due to the Prabhupada mercy, we are sitting here and talking, and due to the Prabhupada books, we are able to read and very easily accessible all the scriptures to us. So like it's not easy to read Srimad Bhagavatam without Prabhupada. Like now we are very handy way, like take the book and read. But there was a big struggle behind that one, how to make that book easily accessible to the living entities. So that's why like confidential associates like Lord sends, and all these steps Lord do to revive, to remember us, you don't belong to this one. Your relationship with me is there is a relationship between you and me. You have to come back to your home, that is a spiritual world. And here it says sometimes his associates are acharyas to reclaim the conditioned souls. Means here acharyas also comes. So Prabhupada is one of acharya. So that's how like one directly Lord comes. Second, like he sends his confidential servants, and third, he sends like an acharya, his associates as an acharyas. So in all these three ways, Lord is going to reclaim, or like remembering, or like establishing, like telling that one, like you are belong to me, like you have to belong to spiritual world, which is above this sky, and which is that is eternal. So that's how the Lord is going to help us to remember us. He's the father of all of us. So I'll go for any comments or questions for this paragraph. Okay, if no comments, we will go ahead for the next paragraph. Therefore, Sanatana Dharma does not refer to any sectarian process of religion. It is the eternal function of the eternal living entities in relationship with the eternal Supreme Lord. Sanatana Dharma refers, as stated previously, to the eternal occupation of the living entity. Shripad Ramanujacharya has explained the word Sanatana as that which has neither beginning nor end. So when we speak of Sanatana Dharma, we must take it for granted on the authority of Shripad Ramanujacharya that it has neither beginning nor end. Okay, we'll read one more paragraph. The English word religion is a little different from Sanatana Dharma. Religion conveys the idea of faith. The faith may change. One may have faith in a particular process and he may change his faith and adopt another, but Sanatana Dharma refers to that activity which cannot be changed. For instance, liquidity cannot be taken from water, nor can heat be taken from fire. Similarly, the eternal function of the eternal living entity cannot be taken from the living entity. Sanatana Dharma is eternally integral with the living entity. When we speak of Sanatana Dharma, therefore, we must take it for granted on the authority of Sripad Ramanujacharya that it has neither beginning nor end. That which has neither end nor beginning must not be sectarian, for it cannot be limited by any boundaries. Those belonging to some sectarian faith will wrongly consider that Sanatana Dharma is also sectarian. But if we go deeply into the matter and consider it in the light of modern science, it is possible for us to see that Sanatana Dharma is the business of all the people of the world, nay, of all the living entities of the universe. Okay, let's see. So now going forward, like so far we discussed like Jiva is eternal, Supreme Lord is eternal, and there is an intimate relationship between Jiva and Supreme Lord. And as Jiva is in material world, this material world is temporary, and there is an eternal world that is called spiritual world. And whoever goes to there, they don't come back to this temporary material world. And to revive that kind of relationship for the Jiva to the Lord, or to remember to the Jiva, so Lord comes himself as some incarnations, different incarnations, or he sends his confidential associates, or sometimes his associates as an acharyas comes and preaches. Then after that one, we'll go for this Sanatana Dharma. Now it's going to speak about that what is Sanatana Dharma. So the Sanatana Dharma is not a sectarian process. Sectarian means it's not like, restrict for some kind of group of people or some conditioned kind of applied conditions like that. So it's an eternal function. So here it's saying the eternal function of eternal living entity is relationship with the eternal Supreme Lord. Everything is eternal. The eternal function, the eternal living entity and eternal Supreme Lord, and the function between the relationship between them is also eternal. So that is bhakti. Bhakti is, that's why neha bikramana shosti pratyavayu na vidyate swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. So whatever little work or little service we perform in devotion, so it's carry forwards, it won't go in vain. And that's how the spiritual bhakti or spirituality carry forwards from birth after birth. So that is the function is eternal. So everything is eternal between Jiva, Supreme Lord, and bhakti, eternal function. But the Sanatana Dharma, which is refers to that eternal, that part of eternal between all these things, is Sanatana Dharma. And Sripad Ramanujacharya says that one, Sanatana means neither beginning nor end. So neither beginning nor end. So like even in Bhagavad Gita also it says, the verse comes to 12, Natvevaham jatunasham natvam neme janadipa na chaivana bhavishyama sarve. Sorry, Natvevaham jatunasham natvam neme janadipa na chaivana bhavishyama
Sarve Yuddha Visharada, I think, right?
Thank you, Mataji. Yeah. Sarve Vidhi Visharada.
It is Sarve Vayam Atha Param.
Thank you, Prabhuji. I'm not getting that word. Okay. So, Natve Vaham Jatunasham Natvam Neme Janadipa Nachaivana Bhavishyama Sarve Vidhi Atah Param.
Sarve Vayam Atha Param.
Sarve Vayam Atah Param. So in that verse also, I'm sorry, I'm not able to recollect that line. So that verse also, it says, never was there a time when you did not exist, nor all these kings, nor anyone ever ceased to be. So it says that one, like the people who are there in the battlefield, that how that comes. Everybody is eternal. Not all these kings, you and me, everybody is eternal. That is the Sanatana. Sanatana means eternal. That's what we are explaining. So it says, Ramanujacharya explained, which has neither beginning nor end. So if it is eternal, there is no beginning and starting point and end point. So whichever existing. So that is the one verse which directly refers to that whenever soul is ever existing. So that's the first paragraph. And next paragraph, it says compares the religion and Sanatana Dharma. Religion is some kind of idea of faith, some constraints and idea of faith. So considering the religion, like one may have some faith and some religion, and it may changes, like they may change the religion and they may adopt another religion. So the faith keep changes in the religion, but Sanatana itself, the word itself and the Sanatana Dharma itself eternal, which cannot be changed. That is the difference between Sanatana Dharma and religion, any religion. So for instance, like Prabhupada gives here two analogies. One is liquidity, the state of liquidity we can't remove from the taken out from the water. The second one is we can't take out heat and light from the fire. So the fire means it's automatically there is a heat and light is there if fire is there. So we can't take out the heat and light from the fire. So in the same way, the eternal function of eternal living entity cannot be taken out from the living entity. So that nobody can take out that eternity from the living entity, because the soul itself, the quality, that is eternal. So this body is temporary, but the soul is eternal. So that's how the analogies helps us to understand how we can't remove the heat and light from the fire. In the same way, we can't remove the eternity or eternal quality or eternity from the living entity. So that's how the Sanatana Dharma means eternal. And again, it's mentioned again, there is no, say Sanatana Dharma is that it has neither end nor beginning, and it cannot be limited by any boundaries. So those belong to some sectarian faith, they think wrongly this Sanatana Dharma is also sectarian, only this group of people, only something. No, this bhakti or this thing is universally is equal to all. So Krishna is equal to everybody, but we have our choice whether we can choose it or not. But Krishna gives the same equal opportunities for every living entity to revive his or to turn back to Krishna. Everybody has that chance, but the free will comes, or their own things comes, like whether we can turn it or not. So that's why there is a Katha Upanishad, I think in introduction only it comes. So two birds on a tree, like one bird sits like this and one bird is like this, and this bird thinks that when nobody is watching me, I can do whatever I can and do all the things. But the Supreme Lord as a Paramatma sitting next to the Jiva and keep watching everything. And when Jiva realizes that I'm like, when he suffers or whatever it may, that constraints happen, when this Jiva turns to the Krishna, then the Krishna is going to help us to revive, like, or to connect us to Krishna. It happens. So we need to turn back to Krishna, means this choice is ours. But Krishna is there in each and everyone's heart as Paramatma. So he is there not only for one birth, from millions of births, he's sitting in our hearts, but that choice is ours, whether we can turn it or not. So in that way, Krishna is giving everybody an opportunity, everybody equal opportunity to all the living entities. So that's how it's a Sanatana Dharma is like, that eternal relationship with Krishna is ever equal to all and ever existing, but only thing is that choice is ours. So that's how we are sectarian. People will think that this Sanatana Dharma is sectarian, only group of people comes, but it's wrong. Bhakti is this, especially Krishna consciousness is, it's equal, it's open to all. Anybody can come and take and follow the Prabhupada books and follow the sadhana, and they can do the service. So that is the thing here we need to understand. And here one more thing, if it is possible for us to see Sanatana Dharma is the business of all the people of the world, of the all the living entities of the universe. Okay, So I'll summarize this paragraph. There is a two religion and Sanatana Dharma, and religion goes with faith, and sometimes like it that the faith in the religion may change. We may adopt some other thing if something new comes. But in Sanatana Dharma, it is a eternal, and it which cannot be changed. And the eternal function of the eternal living entity with the eternal Supreme Lord is eternal. And we, as there are two analogies, we can't remove the liquidity quality from the water. In the same way, heat and light can't remove from the fire. In the same way, the eternity of the living entity we can't remove from the jiva. So that's how the jiva is eternal, neither beginning nor end. That's what Ramanujacharya's definition for the Sanatana Dharma. And Sanatana Dharma is not a sectarian. It's open to all, as Krishna is present in everybody's heart as in Paramatma. So everybody have equal opportunity to turn back to Krishna and take up this service, this Krishna consciousness. Okay, I'll give a pause here, and if anybody have any comments or corrections, please go ahead.
So you said Sanatana Dharma, it applies not only to human beings, nay, to all living entities. He's saying at some point.
Yeah, it's here, Mataji. Yeah, 1 second. Yeah, nay of all living entities of the universe.
Can you read that whole sentence, Vallabi? I just want to
Yes.
understand that.
Yes, Mataji, give me 1 second. Okay. Those belonging to some sectarian faith will wrongly consider that Sanatana Dharma is also sectarian. But if we go deeply into the matter of consider it in the light of modern science, it is possible for us to see that Sanatana Dharma is the business of all the people of the world, nay, of all the living entities of the universe.
But how does it, I mean, I can understand the living entities because we are more conscious to adopt and understand the Sanatana Dharma, but how can all other living entities do? I didn't quite understand that.
Yeah, but human beings have that one, the possibility to revive that that thing.
Relationship, yeah.
Yeah, that relationship, or think about it.
Sanatana, yeah.
Yeah.
But it says, nay, of all living entities. I mean, is Prabhupada saying that it exists for all living entities, even though they cannot understand it?
Yeah, that's how like everybody have equal opportunities. So Krishna is staying in every living entity as a Paramatma, right? So in that way, everybody have that one, but only the human beings have that capacity.
Opportunity and the capacity to go back, yeah,
Yeah.
whereas the animals don't.
Yeah. But still they have the Lord is present in them also, as every living entity has the Lord in them.
So the relationship is there, but they do not have the opportunity and capacity to understand it.
Yeah, that's my understanding, Mataji. But anybody,
That is why Prabhupada says the greatest calamity that can follow to a jiva is to fall in the lower species of life. Because once you fall in the lower species of life, you automatically, it's like Darwinian. At that point, it's not exactly Darwinian, but you go on to the next species. When you fall down, like a cat becomes a dog becomes whatever is above. So you have to go through many species of life before you can get a human species again. So that's why once you fall into the thing, you automatically progress from, you have to go up to many lifetimes and progress within those species. So that's why, but the Paramatma is there even in the lowest animal, even in the Indragopa, even in the Indragopa, which is the smallest being in Indra, the Paramatma is there in every jiva. But as you go into the higher species, that's why we say we should not sin to fall into the lower species of life. Once you have attained the human species, is a great calamity for the jiva. So we have to be very careful that we don't fall in the lower species. If we do that, then the only thing is automatically we have to progress through many, many lifetimes and get into the higher species. Because they say before you become human, I'd read somewhere, either you're a cow or you're a tiger or a monkey, something like that. There's 3 or 4 species that you go and then you get a human birth. Something like that I read somewhere. I don't remember exactly, but I know you were you become a cow, and after the cow, the next birth is the human, something
being.
like that.
Yeah, and there is the mode of goodness and mode of passion and mode of ignorance also, like which species you come from. I also had heard that. But I was just thinking that Srila Prabhupada was saying that the Sanatana Dharma belongs even to the animals. So I was just questioning that. But I think he's saying from a relationship perspective, they also
Yeah,
are
because Krishna is
eternally
present in their
affected.
hearts also.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mataji, for adding that one. And any other comments or questions? Okay, if not, we'll go for the next paragraph. Non-Sanatana religious faith may have some beginning in the animals of human history, but there is no beginning to the history of Sanatana Dharma because it remains eternally with the living entities. Insofar as the living entities are concerned, the authoritative Shastras state that the living entity has neither birth nor death. In the Gita, it is stated that the living entity is never born and he never dies. He is eternal and indestructible, and he continues to live after the destruction of his temporary material body. In reference to the concept of Sanatana Dharma, we must try to understand the concept of religion from the Sanskrit root meaning of the word. Dharma refers to that which is constantly existing with a particular object. We conclude that there is heat and light along with the fire. Without heat and light, there is no meaning to the word fire. Similarly, we must discover the essential part of the living entity, that part which is his constant companion. That constant companion is his eternal quality, and that eternal quality in his eternal religion. Read one more paragraph. When Sanatana Goswami asked Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu about the Swarupa of every living being, the Lord replied that the Swarupa or constitutional position of the living being is the rendering of service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If we realize this statement of Lord Chaitanya's, we can easily see that every living being is constantly engaged in rendering service to another living being. A living being serves another living beings in various capacities. By doing so, the living entity enjoys life. The lower animals serve human beings as servants, serve their master. A serves B master, B serves C master, and C serves D master, and so on. Under these circumstances, we can see that one friend serves another friend, the mother serves the son, the wife serves the husband serves the wife, and so on. If we go on searching in this spirit, it will be seen that there is no exception in the society of living beings to the activity of service. The politician presents his manifesto for the public to convince them of his capacity for service. The voters therefore give the politician their valuable votes, thinking that he will render valuable service to society. The shopkeeper serves the customer, and the artisan serves the capitalist. The capitalist serves the family, and the family serves the state in the terms of the eternal capacity of the living being, eternal living being. In this way, we can see that no living being is exempt from rendering service to another living beings, and therefore we can safely conclude that service is the constant companion of the living being, and that the rendering of service is the eternal religion of the living being. So let's see. So now Prabhupada is saying like Sanatana Dharma we discussed, and now it's coming how that Sanatana Dharma it's coming to the soul, like the qualities of the soul. So it says here living entities are here it says living entities and are concerned. The authoritative Shastra state that living entity has neither birth nor death. So that's what, like I said, that Natvevaham verse, and the one more verse is there, 220. Jayate mriyate va kadachin nayam bhutva bhavita vana bhuyaha ajo nityaha shashvatoyam purano na hanyate hanyamane sharire. So na jayate mriyate. Jayate means to take birth. Mriyate means death. Na jayate mriyate va kadachin. Kadachin means anytime. So there is no neither birth nor death for the soul. And again it says in the Gita, it is stated that the living entity is never born and he never dies. That's what na jayate mriyate. And he is eternal. Eternal means ajo nitya. Nitya means eternal. Indestructible. Na hanyate hanyamane shariri. So when the body is slain, then the soul is eternal. Soul is not get destructible. So this verse is describing the qualities of the soul. So now Prabhupada is explaining, first explained the how we are eternal in relationship with the Lord, and how Lord is eternal, and our relationship, our the function between the Lord and Jiva is also eternal function. Now it's coming how we are eternal. How we are eternal is the soul wise. So the body is there, and soul wise soul is permanent and body is temporary. And how the soul is permanent is described in Bhagavad Gita. So that's what the second chapter 28th verse is. Neither birth nor death, na jayate mriyate va kadachi. Then here that same verse it's described ajo nityaha shashvatoyam purano. Aja means it's an unborn. Nityaha means eternal. And Shashvata means ever existing, like, permanent. And Purano, it's the oldest one, oldest. And Na hanyate hanyamane shariri. So these are the qualities of the soul. That's how it's describing. That's how the living Jiva is eternal. Soul, like as these qualities are there for the soul. So that's why the Jiva is eternal. And here, same thing, we conclude that there is heat and light in the fire, and without heat and light, there is no meaning of the word fire. So in the same way, the soul is there in the body. Without the soul, there is no meaning of the body. It becomes a dead body. So in the same way, we need to discover there is a constant companion for the eternal quality, the quality of that that soul is, there is a constant companion. And again, next paragraph is going to describe what is that constant companion is there with that. So here it describes, like Sanatana Goswami when asked to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu what is the Swarupa of the living entity. So Mahaprabhu describes that Jivera Swarupa Hoi Krishnera Nityadas. So the Swarupa of the Jiva is, conditioned soul is Krishnera Nityadas, so the eternal servant of Krishna. So that's how here it comes like rendering service. So here in this paragraph it explained the living entity is, by default, it's constantly engaged in the service of other living being. So that service is there because by serving others, the soul seeks, enjoys. Like example, Prabhupada has given, wife serves husband, husband serves wife, or mother serves children. So all these things are serving each other. In that way, the Jiva feels enjoy, happiness. So what will happen that in that kind of service, if we don't have the Krishna consciousness, so that service is going to bind us. So it creates the bondage. So as this paragraph, clearly Prabhupada explained in this paragraph, that the Jiva's living entities, constantly engaged in the service. So that service is the constant companion for the living entity. So when that constant company, that service attitude is the nature of the soul, so if the soul is seeking pleasure, so the seeking pleasure comes when the soul, it loves other living entity. One, how can we love? By serving, we express our love. That service is the constant companion. If we don't serve Krishna, we serve our senses, or we serve other our relatives. Then by serving without Krishna, all these things, what will happen? It creates the bondage. And when the bondage is there, then we are not able to get out of this material world. So how can we make that service total towards to Krishna? Even we are situated in our present situation between whatever relationship the soul has, taking those relationships, those services as a Krishna has given that responsibility. So we can change that service to a devotional service. How can we change that one? Okay, mother may think, okay, this son is Krishna has given me responsibility. He is the, and by serving the small child is there, we need to take care of, mother has to take care. If that mother thinks that one, okay, by taking care of, is this Krishna has given this responsibility to me, in serving that one, at the same time keeping Krishna in the center in our practical personal life, that service turns to as a devotional service. So when that nature is there in the living entity, the service creates bondage. But if we do tell that one to the devotional towards to the Krishna, that gives liberation, mukti, which like breaks that bondage whatever we have so far. So that is the difference between service and devotional service. So it's, if we don't have capacity ourselves to get out of that bondage, but we need to take shelter of the devotional service or devotion towards to Krishna. Krishna helps us to makes us free from that bondage. So if we don't serve any Krishna, if we don't serve devotees, then we serve our relatives. Otherwise, we serve our senses. So anyhow, the Jivera Swarupohe Krishnera Nityadas, the servitor relationship, that servitor is there, that constant companion mood, that service is there in the Jiva, the living entity. So that is the why devotional service is very, very important. Keeping Krishna in the center and live the life for the pleasure of Krishna. By doing that one, the bondage goes off and Krishna gives the liberation or breaks that bondage, whatever we have so far. So I'll take a pause here and we'll see if we have any questions or comments or corrections. Any comments or questions? Okay, it's 8 o'clock. If nobody have any comments or questions, I'll offer obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnavas. Vancha kalpa tarubhyascha. I'll stop here. So we'll continue on Monday. Vancha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrindi ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you all. Hare Krishna.